Welcome to the 2017-2018 General Supervision File Review Training Presentation. I am Jeff Brandt, Special Populations Coordinator.
And I am Elisa Fuchs, Data and Reporting Coordinator. Here's the timeline for the Gsfr. You are encouraged to begin the self-review process at any time. Self-review is not a requirement this year, but last year the SDE found that districts and charters that utilized a self-review along with their Idaho SESTA coordinator were the districts and charters that submitted 3 compliant files. Your SESTA coordinator is available to provide assistance and guidance. Please use them.
On November 1st, 2017, the Compliance Tracking Tool, or CTT, will be open for uploading documents and entering your reviews. We encourage you to work with your Idaho SESTA coordinator prior to entering reviews or uploading materials to the CTT. Doing this will save you time in the long run. If you can upload 3 compliant files, you're done. On December 7th, 2017, you must have 3 files uploaded and submitted onto the CTT.
You will select 3 student files and review them as a team, which should include your Idaho SESTA coordinator, utilizing the General Supervision File Review Checklist. Your SESTA coordinator can provide valuable feedback and help you address any areas of concern. Doing this will help ensure that you are providing your 3 highest quality files. Here's a short video prepared by Nicole Christensen at Idaho SESTA to assist you in identifying your very best 3 files and how to access support.
This video will provide tips for selecting a file during the General Supervision File Review process. This is an opportunity for you to demonstrate your district's highest quality work. We hope this video provides you with guidance to do just that. There are 3 file types required as part of your file review. First, you will submit a general file. This is often a student in elementary or middle school who falls under any of the 15 disability categories. Second, you will submit 1 secondary file. This file must include an IEP with the required components of a transition plan and documentation of the student's participation within that process. Lastly, you will submit an early childhood file. This file must demonstrate the team's consideration and review of all 3 early childhood outcome areas. It is important that you select a file that reflects the best and highest quality work completed within your district. It is also important that we are reviewing current documents. When selecting your file, avoid those that will require a reevaluation or annual review between November 30th and February 28th. Selecting a file that expires within these dates will require an additional review of the new documents, which can slow down the review time, and it can also lead to additional corrections within that new document that need to be made. If at all possible, avoid submitting documents within this time frame. Before submitting your file, it is important you do a self-review. It is a good idea to use the Gsfr checklist to do this, as it correlates to the Compliance Tracking Tool, where you will submit your review and report your findings. After completing your self-review, if all components on the checklist are marked yes, this is likely a good file to submit. It is also important to verify that all required documents are present. There are some considerations you might make when selecting your best file. First, consider selecting a file which has been done within your own district. We so often have students move from one place to another. Documents can be lost in transit, which will lead to additional requirements during your file review. Plus, submitting documents that have been completed within your district provides you with the opportunity to showcase your district's best work. The file you submit should be for a student who is currently enrolled in school and receiving special education services. This file needs to reflect the IEP team's most current decisions for that student. Idaho SESTA provides a variety of trainings that cover components of the special education process. You might consider choosing a file that was completed by team members who have attended trainings that covered components of high-quality eligibilities and IEPs. The Idaho State Department of Education will have the current Gsfr checklist and directions document available for you to use when completing a self-review. The directions document covers points to consider under each part of the checklist and resources to explain each of those components if needed. As you complete your self-review, if you come across a component that is checked no, that needs to be corrected. At this point, you can submit a different file or submit this file after making the correction. Remember, this is an opportunity to showcase your district's highest quality, best work. As stated before, if a document is missing from the file, do not submit it. The required documents include the consent for assessment and/or written notice explaining the assessment plan, the eligibility report, and the IEP. There are also maybe additional requirements for the secondary and early childhood files. As you complete your file selection and self-review, we want you to remember specific learning disability files are not required. There was some confusion regarding this last year. Districts are only required to submit one general file, one secondary file, and one early childhood file. Also remember that this is not a training opportunity for teachers. Submission of your 3 files is an opportunity to showcase your district's highest quality work. Using Gsfr as a training opportunity will not do that. As you complete this process, you are not alone. We are here to help. The Idaho State Department of Education will provide the current checklist and resource documents on their website. Go to www.sde.idaho.gov/sped/program-monitoring. Idaho SESTA is also here to help. Please contact your instructional coordinator with any questions you might have through this process. We are happy to provide guidance as you select and review each file. If you need more information on what Idaho SESTA has to offer, go to www.idahosesta.org. Idaho SESTA stores previous trainings, webinars, and example documents on the Idaho Training Clearinghouse. These resources might be helpful as you're completing the self-review on each file, then supporting teachers in making any needed corrections. The website address for Idaho Training Clearinghouse is www.idahotc.com. Remember, we are here to support you and look forward to working with you this year through the Gsfr process.
Once you and your SESTA coordinator are confident that you have 3 amazing files, you are ready to enter your review results and upload all necessary documents into the compliance tracking tool.
The last date to enter your information into the CTT is December 7th.
All of the Gsfr checklists, including the general one that you see here, as well as the preschool, secondary transition, and SLD checklists, are located on the Idaho State Department of Education Special Education website.
We are going to do a brief walkthrough to show you where to access the checklists. First, go to the State Department of Education webpage at sde.idaho.gov. Then scroll down and select Special Education. Then scroll down and select Program Monitoring. The checklists are visible towards the bottom of the screen. Here is the general checklist that you will use to review students' eligibilities and IEPs as a team for self-review. You will also find a directions document for each checklist except for the SLD. Just as a quick reminder, you are not required to submit an SLD file, but it will be required in the 2018-19 school year. I'm going to open up the general checklist directions document. This is a valuable tool for the file review process and provides clarification of the questions and additional information and resources. In addition, both the checklist and directions documents can be used for professional development for special education teachers throughout the year. We would like to walk you through the checklist so that you're familiar with it. Here you see the expanded view of the demographic information. Documenting this information helps you track which student you are reviewing in the self-review process.
Here is the eligibility portion of the checklist. You can see the hyperlinks located on the question headings. By clicking on these, you will be taken directly to the corresponding area of the direction document. There you will find helpful information to assure that your file is 100% compliant.
Here's the directions document from the hyperlink, Eligibility Determined by a Team. You can see there is a link to the Idaho Special Education Manual and also a link to the Special Education Toolbox to provide you with additional helpful information.
Eligibility category. You can see the 15 categories listed here. If you click on the hyperlink, it takes you back to the directions document, providing clarification on that review area and a link to the Special Education Manual. There is also a link to Module 2 in the Developing a High-Quality IEP series, the 3-prong test.
As you move down the checklist, the first 8 items relate to the eligibility. Item 9 brings us to the IEP. The first question is team members. This is an area where many LEAs have been found out of compliance, as not all team members were in attendance for the meeting and or did not provide excusal documentation prior to the meeting.
The skill area only requires a general indication, something as simple as reading or math. You do not need to add any text for the annual goal. We recommend that you select students with no more than 3 goals. The more goals you have, the more opportunities to find items out of compliance.
When listing the services, make sure they correspond in order to the skill area being addressed. For example, if the first skill area listed is math, then the first service listed should be math. Here's what the last of the checklist looks like, numbers 13 through 17.
And these are the last items, numbers 18 through 20.
If the student is a secondary transition, preschool, or a student with specific learning disability, you must also use the corresponding checklist. That means for these students, you are filling out 2 checklists, the general checklist and the additional one.
Thank you for the great work you are doing for students with disabilities. If there is ever anything we at the State Department can do for you, please reach out to us. We are here to serve your needs.